But why, Mama? Is it a blessing or a curse? Isn't it special? Her eyes wide with curiosity. I don't know, my child, but no one will ever get to see this or even hear about it. Cassie was a lively young girl, always full of energy and questions about the world. She lived in a small village by a quiet river, where life was slow and simple. The houses had roofs made of grass, and the soft red earth felt warm under her bare feet. To Cassie, every day in the village was an adventure. She loved to run around laughing and playing, her voice mixing with the sound of birds and the gentle flow of the river. Cassie's mother, Adana, was her everything. Adana had been widowed when Cassie was very young, and she worked hard to take care of her. She made and sold baskets, often sitting for hours, weaving them with care. Despite the hard work, Adana was always smiling. Her strength came from the joy she found in Cassie. "You are my little sunshine," she would always say, brushing Cassie's hair after a long day. Each morning, Cassie woke up as the sun started to rise. She was eager to begin her day. Her main task was to fetch water from the river, while others saw this as a chore. Cassie thought of it as an adventure. The path to the river was her favorite part of the day. It was lined with tall grasses and bright flowers. Birds sang in the trees and the cool air smelled fresh and sweet. Cassie would balance the clay pot on her head, humming a song as her feet danced light on the ground. One morning, as the sun painted the sky with golden light, Cassie reached the river. She knelt by the water and dipped her pot in the river, watching the ripples spread across the surface. Suddenly, something shiny caught her eyes. She froze, staring at the water. There, just below the surface, was a golden fish. Its scales sparkled like the sun and it moved gracefully as though it was performing a dance. Cassie leaned closer, unable to take her eyes off the fish. She had never seen anything like this before. The fish swam towards her, its shimmering body glowing in the sunlight. Then, to her surprise, it slipped into her clay pot on its own. Cassie blinked in shock. "Why did you come into my pot?" she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and wonder. She stood there for a moment, unsure of what to do. The village elders often told stories about the river spirits. Some said they gave blessings, others believed they brought trouble. Cassie didn't know what to believe. Her heart told her to take the fish home, so she balanced the pot carefully on her head and started walking back to the village, humming the beautiful song her mother taught her when she was little.
Oh mama, is it a blessing or a curse? The river speaks, but it hides its words. Golden light, oh what does it mean? A gift of joy or a shadow unseen? I carry the river, I carry its gift. Oh mama, will it heal or make hearts drift? Is it a blessing or is it a curse? Only the spirits can break this verse.
The song echoed softly as she walked, the words wrapping around her like a protective shield. It was her way of asking the river spirit for guidance, a quiet plea for understanding. Cassie stepped slowly as she approached the edge of the village, her voice dropping to a new whisper. When Cassie finally reached home and placed the pot down, her mother's face softened as she heard the song. It was the same song Adana had sung years ago, when faced with her own uncertainty about the world's gifts and trials. The moment tie them together like the river tied the village to its source of life. Adanna was sitting outside their small hut, weaving a basket. She looked up and smiled at her daughter, but her smile faded when she saw Cassie's serious face. "What's wrong, my child?" Adanna asked. Settling her basket aside, Cassie carefully placed the pot on the ground. "Mama, look," she said softly. Adanna leaned over and gasped. The golden fish shimmered in the sunlight, its scales glowing like something out of the dream. "Where did you find this?" Adanna asked. Her voice was shaking. "At the river, Mama. It swam into my pot, Mama. I didn't even catch it. It just came to me." Adanna's hand trembled as she touched the edge of the pot. She had heard stories about a golden fish appearing once in a lifetime. Some said it was a gift from the spirit, while others believed it brought bad luck. Adanna wasn't sure what to think, but fear crept into her heart. "Cassie," she said firmly, "you must not tell anyone about this. Do you hear me? Not a single person." "But why, Mama?" Cassie asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Isn't it special?" "Yes, it is," Adanna said, lowering her voice. "But not everyone will see it that way. Some people might try to take it from us. Promise me you won't say anything." "I promise," Cassie said, nodding. But in a small village, keeping secrets is never easy. That evening, as Adanna prepared dinner, there was a knock at the door. It was Mama Nkechi, their neighbor, holding a bundle of firewood. "I ran out of firewood, Adanna," Nkechi said, stepping inside uninvited. "Can you spare me some?" Adanna nodded, trying to stay calm. "Of course, wait here." As Adanna turned to fetch the firewood, Nkechi's sharp eyes landed on the clay pot. She stepped closer and peered inside. Her mouth fell open. "What is this?" she exclaimed loudly. Adanna spun around, her heart racing. "It's nothing, just a fish Cassie found," she said quickly, trying to cover the pot, but Nkechi was already backing out of the hut, excitement written all over her face. She even forgot the firewood she came to collect. By morning, the whole village knew about the golden fish. People gathered in the square, talking and arguing. "It's a blessing from the gods," some said. "No, it's a curse," others whispered. Some wanted to see the fish, while others talked about selling it to wealthy traders. Adanna and Cassie became the center of attention. Adanna felt a heavy fear in her chest. She couldn't shake the feeling that the fish wasn't just a gift. It was a test, and she feared the village was about to fail. Among the villagers was Eze, a wealthy trader who often boasted about his influence. When he heard about the fish, his eyes lit up with greed. "A fish? Like that could make me richer than any trader in this region," he thought. He visited Adanna's hut, bringing gifts of yam and palm oil, hoping to persuade her to sell the fish. "This fish is worth more than you can imagine," Eze said, his voice smooth like honey. "Sell it to me and I will give you enough money to build a new house and never work again." Adanna shook her head firmly. "This fish is not for sale. It belongs to the river spirit." Eze's smile faded, replaced by a cold glare. "You will regret this," he muttered as he stormed away. Meanwhile, another villager, Chika, a kind-hearted palm wine tapper, heard about Adanna's plight. Chika was known for his wisdom and strong moral compass. He decided to visit Adanna to offer his help. "You need someone to protect you and Cassie," he said. The villagers' greed will only grow, but the danger was not only from the villagers. That night, Adanna had a strange dream. A woman with flowing hair like the river reeds appeared before her. "The fish carries a heavy burden," the woman warned. "Keep it safe, but beware of those who seek it for their gain." The next morning, a stranger arrived in the village. He was a tall, imposing man named Obinna, with scars on his face and a mysterious aura. He claimed to be a traveling merchant, but his true intentions were far darker. He had heard rumors of the golden fish and knew its true value in the black market. Obinna wasted no time. ingratiating himself with the villagers. He bought drinks at the local palm wine shed, told captivating stories of his travel, and won the trust of many. But his real goal was to find the fish and claim it for himself. As Obinna plotted, Chika began to suspect him. "This man is no ordinary merchant," he told Adanna. "Be careful who you trust." Tension in the village reached a boiling point when Obinna, Eze, and several villagers confronted Adanna. "You cannot keep the fish for yourself," Eze shouted. "It belongs to the community." Chika stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "The fish was found by Cassie. It's not yours to take." Obinna smirked and took a step closer. "Let's not make this difficult. Hand it over or there will be consequences." Suddenly, Cassie, who had been silent, stepped forward. Her small voice cut through the chaos. "The fish is alive. It speaks to me in my dreams. It wants to go back to the river." The crowd fell silent. Obinna's smirk disappeared, replaced by a flicker of fear. "Nonsense," he said, but his voice wavered. Cassie continued, her eyes unwavering. "The river spirit said the fish is a test. If we let greed win, we will all suffer." The villagers began to murmur among themselves, uncertainty creeping in. Adanna, with tears in her eyes, knelt beside Cassie. "We will return the fish to the river," she declared. "Let it bring peace and not destruction." Adanna and Cassie stood together in the soft morning light, ready for a journey that felt heavier than any they had taken before. The golden fish rested calmly on the clay pot, its shimmering body glowing faintly, as if it understood the importance of what was about to happen. Around them, the village buzzed with tension. The news of their plan to return the fish to the river had spread, and not everyone agreed with their decisions. Eze, a man known for his sharp tongue and greedy nature, stormed towards their hut, followed by a group of villagers. Next to him stood Obinna, a tall stranger with a cold, unreadable face. His silence was more intimidating than Eze's shouting. "You can't take that fish back to the river," Eze yelled, his voice loud enough for the whole village to hear. "Do you know what you are giving up? That fish is worth more than all of us put together." Adanna's hand shook, but her voice remained steady. "The fish does not belong to us. It belongs to the river. Returning it is the only way to make things right." Obinna stepped forward, his deep voice cold and firm. "Right? What is right about throwing away power and wealth? The world doesn't run on your stories of spirit. If you can't see that, someone else will take control." Before Adanna could respond, Chika, a calm but respected elder, stepped between her and the crowd. His voice was quiet but clear. "This fish has already shown us what greed can do. Look around you. It has turned us into enemies, filling our hearts with anger and selfishness. If this is what power brings, then it is no blessing. Then it is a curse." Some villagers looked down ashamed, but others, including Eze, refused to listen. "You are being foolish," Eze shouted, his voice red with frustration. "This fish is our chance to change everything. Do you want us to stay poor forever?" Chika held his ground, meeting Eze's angry glare. "If change comes at the cost of our souls, it's no change at all." Adanna placed a protective arm around Cassie and whispered, "Stay close to me." Cassie nodded, clutching the pot tightly. She could feel the fish move inside, as if it sensed the growing tension. The group began walking to the river. The path, usually quiet and peaceful, now felt long and full of uneasy. Every sound, the rustling of the leaves, the snapping of twigs, seemed louder, as if the forest itself was watching. Villagers whispered nervously among themselves. Some believed in the spirit and feared what might happen. Others doubted and waited to see what would unfold. Mama, Cassie whispered, her voice small. Will everything really be okay? Adana knelt beside her daughter, her eyes calm but full of love. Yes, my child, the river spirits are watching. They will guide us. When they reached the river bank, the air was still and heavy. The water sparkled in the sunlight, its surface smooth and calm, as though waiting. Adana and Cassie stepped forward, ready to return the fish. But before they could, Eze's voice thundered behind them. "Stop right there," he shouted, pushing through the crowd. His eyes were fixed on the pot in Cassie's hand. "You don't get to decide this for all of us." Adana turned to face him, her heart racing. Before she could reply, Obinna moved forward, his tall figure towering over everyone. His voice was low and threatening. "Enough of this nonsense," he growled. Without warning, he lunged towards Cassie, reaching for the pot. Adana screamed and pulled Cassie back, but Obinna was quick. His hand brushed the edge of the pot before Chika stepped in, blocking his way. "Leave them alone," Chika shouted, his calm voice now filled with anger. He stood firmly between Obinna and the pot, his eyes blazing with determination. The two men stared each other down, tension cracking like fire between them. Obinna's snare faltered for a moment, but he didn't back away. Eze, seizing the opportunity, turned to the crowd. "Why should they decide for all of us?" he yelled. "The fish could bring us money, respect, power. Are we going to let them throw it all away?" The villagers murmured, torn between fear and greed. Some nodded in agreement while others looked uneasy. Before anyone could move, a small clear voice broke through the noise. "The fish is not ours to keep," Cassie said, stepping forward. Her voice was soft, but it carried a strength far beyond her years. "It's a gift, but not for what you think. If we let greed take over, the river spirit will punish us all." The crowd fell silent, Cassie's sword hanging in the air like a warning. Even Eze hesitated, doubt flickering in his greedy eyes, but Obinna was unmoved. With a snarl, he shoved past Chika and lunged again for the pot. In the chaos, the pot slipped from Cassie's hand and fell to the ground. The clay shattered and the sound echoed through the air like a thunderclap. The golden fish flopped onto the soft earth, its glowing scales catching the sunlight. For a moment, no one moved. Then, a sudden wind swept through the trees, carrying a deep, mournful sound. The river's surface rippled, glowing softly with a golden light. The villagers gasped as the fish wriggled and leaped towards the water. With a final splash, it disappeared into the glowing river. The glow spread across the water, brighter and brighter, until it looked like liquid gold. The villagers stared, frozen in awe and fear. The river seemed alive, its gentle ripples carrying a quiet power. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the light faded, leaving the river calm and still once more. No one spoke. The silence was heavy, filled with the weight of what they had witnessed. The fish was gone, but its message lingered. The river spirit had given their answer, and the villagers knew they would never forget it. The river remained calm after the golden light faded, but the villagers stood in silence, unsure of what to do. Some felt fear, others felt regret, and a few, like Eze, felt anger. Adana held Cassie close, her heart heavy, but relieved that the fish had returned to the river. Cassie looked up at her mother. "Mama, would the river spirit forgive us?" she asked, her voice trembling. Adana knelt and wiped a tear from Cassie's cheek. The spirits have seen your pure heart, my child. This is what matters. We must now show them we have learned from this. The villagers slowly began to leave the river bank. Their heads bowed. Chika, who had stood firm against Obinna and Eze, gathered a few of the elders to speak to the crowd. His voice was calm but strong. We have all been tested, Chika said. Some of us gave in to greed, others to fear. But the river spirit have shown us mercy. We must take this as a chance to change. Let this be a lesson for our village. 1. We will fish to our children and grandchildren. The people nodded, murmuring their agreement. Even those who had been swayed by Eze's word seemed ashamed of their actions. Eze and Obinna, however, stayed quiet. Eze's face was twisted with frustration. You are all fools, he muttered, turning to leave. Obinna followed him, his cold gaze sweeping into the forest, leaving behind an uneasy silence. Back at the village, life slowly returned to normal, but things were not the same. Cassie and Adanna became symbol of courage and wisdom. The elders asked Adanna to share her story with the younger generation, and Cassie's words about greed and respect for the spirit became lessons taught in the village square. Cassie, though still a child, grew more thoughtful after the event. She spent her morning by the river, not fetching water, but watching its flow, thinking about the fish and the spirit. Sometimes, other children joined her, and she told them what she had learned. The river gave us life, Cassie would say. We must not take more than we need. When we respect the river, it will respect us too. The villagers began to live more simply. They stopped arguing over wealth and focused on helping one another. Farmers shared their crops. Weavers, like Adanna, taught others their craft, and the community grew even closer. Eze and Obinna were rarely seen in the village after that day. Some said they had gone to the city to chase wealth, while others believed the river spirit had punished them. Whatever the truth was, their absence brought peace to the village. Years later, Cassie grew into a young woman, wise beyond her years. She often walked along the river, her feet bare and her heart full of gratitude. The river became a symbol of balance for the villagers, a reminder that greed only brings division, while respect and kindness brings peace. The story of Cassie and the golden fish was passed down through the generations. It became a tale told to children on quiet nights, not just as a warning, but as a lesson about the power of humility, courage, and unity. And so, the village thrived, not because of a golden fish, but because its people learned to value what truly mattered, each other and the life the river gave them. Thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to share the story with your family and your friends whom I love to see them. Till I see you again in my next story. Goodbye.
Oh mama, will it heal or make hearts drift? Is it a blessing or is it a curse? Only the spirits can break this verse. Oh mama, is it a blessing or a curse? The river speaks, but it hides its words. Golden light, oh, what does it mean? A gift of joy or a shadow unseen? I carry the